Hello folks, welcome to this week's newsletter tip. Hope you're all okay, hope you're all staying safe. We're 1 week closer to getting back to sunny Dunham, so hopefully fingers crossed we won't be too long in this shutdown. So I'm going to continue what we did from last week really, when we talked a lot about the club face in our short game tips there and what effect the club face has on both the trajectory of the ball and the direction. So I've got my Sandine here today. So I'm going to use this, you can see I've blue tacked one of Jessica's pencils to my loft of the club, and I'm using this red line to show the target line if we were playing golf. So today's tip is going to show the importance of something called face plane tilt, which sounds very complicated, but actually when I explain it, it's very simple. It's also going to touch on the importance of getting your irons, particularly your lofted irons, correctly fitted for you, and it will also go some way to explain how we play, or how we should try and play, lies on the golf course which aren't flat, so slopey lies, so ball above your feet or ball below your feet. So I'm going to cover all those points on a real simple demonstration here. So as I mentioned earlier, so I've got my sand iron and I've got this pencil blue tacked right in the centre of the club face. So if I just lie the club behind this white line, so my leading edge, that's the bottom of the club here, is perpendicular to the line, it's pushed it against the worktop so you can see where the yellow pencil is pointing. Now, the camera will probably show this as pointing exactly down the red line. It's actually pointing ever so slightly to the left of the red line. That is one effect that the loft has on the angle of the club face, not the leading edge, but the club face. Okay, so it's really important now. I'm going to keep this leading edge pushed against the club, against the worktop. Just watch what effect the club flattening has on the yellow pencil. You see how it's going to the left? And I'm going to move then this way. So again, I'm not changing the club face, I'm not changing the angle of the leading edge, I'm just tilting the club. The club's getting more upright now and the pencil's going to the right. This is really important because clearly if the pencil is pointing to the left like this now, when we strike the golf ball in that manner, the golf ball is going to go to the left, and clearly this way it's going to go more towards the right. So even if we start with our leading edge perfectly square, that's pointing towards the target, if some of the factors mean that the club face, the loft on the club face, is tilted some way, then the ball's going to go offline. So one big factor which could be if we're stood too far away from the ball when we're chipping or pitching, that would effectively shallow out this club shaft here, look, put the toe of the club in the air, resulting in the pencil going to the left, the club loft pointing towards the left. Okay, so I see this an awful lot in golfers there, and oppositely there, if we're standing too close to the ball, the shaft now got very vertical, heel of the club would be in the air, and the loft is now pointing off to the right. Again, going to affect the golf ball going straight there. So, really important to lie the club flat on the ground to begin with. That's the only chance we've really got of getting the club back to square to hit the ball straight there. Okay? This leads us into our second point where we come onto the club fitting. So just as that principle, remember that principle? So if the toe of the club is in the air too much, the club goes to the left, the ball goes to the left. And if the heel of the club is in the air, club to upright, shaft to upright there, and the ball's going to go off to the right. So when we come to fitting our irons, if we're using the wrong lie angle for our club, that is going to mean either the toes in the air when we come to strike the ball, ball's going to go off to the right, or the heel, or sorry, rephrase that there, the heel's in the air there, so the toes down, which means the ball's going to go to the right, and alternatively, the toes in the air, heel down, the ball's going to go to the left, okay? So what we do in the fitting process, we get the length of the club correct, and the lie of the club correct, so that not only at address, but at impact, that golfer's club is coming through square, okay? That results in the club loft now being not only constant, but also pointing in the right direction at impact, resulting in those straight shots. So, quick explanation of how important club fitting is for short irons. Incidentally, when the loft gets less, so we get a more straighter face club, this face plane tilt has much less effect, okay? In terms of, you imagine now that, forget, if you will, the club shaft is now pointing forwards there. If I now start to tilt the club this way now, look, you can see it's having very minimal effect on where the pencil's pointing. It's moving slightly, but very minimal effect. So you'll find that your 5 irons and 4 irons, the face plane tilt has very minimal effect on that compared to the very lofted clubs. So that brings on to our last point, and that is awkward lies. So here's a prop, kitchen mat here. So you imagine our fifth hole. Fifth hole, we're playing that particularly for the ladies, a difficult hole. Generally, the ground is sloping that way, okay? So that puts effectively makes the club do that, okay? What happens to the pen, so I'll keep my red line back there. So here we are, that's a flat surface. We go on to the fifth. You can see how the pencil is pointed directly off to the left. So what we have to do in that instance there is actually aim the club to the right there, you see that? So now the pencil is aiming down the red line, the target line, but only because the club face is pointing towards the right there. The leading edge is pointing towards the right. So I position my leading edge miles to the right there, which gets the club loft pointing straight. That would be quite a steep slope, but some places on that fifth hole are quite steep. So conversely, we go to the fourth hole. The fourth hole, this happens quite a bit where you might have the ball below your feet there, so the lie would slope that way. You can see now with that angle of the club face now, you can see how the pencil now is pointing quite strongly off to the right. Okay, so again we'd have to close that club face or turn the club face to the left to get the pencil and the red line now in line with each other, which means now the club loft is going to be pointing straight at impact. So can feel quite complicated that, but it's all to do with understanding. And you can do this at home, guys. You've got a bit of blue tack all. It's nothing scientific. This is just a pencil blue tack to a club face, and you can see by just keeping the shaft in a constant angle there, but just tilting the club both up and down, you can see what effect that has on the pencil. Therefore, the loft of the club, the angle of the loft, and then by playing around with that, you can try and make sure your shots go straighter, even though you were pointing your club correctly at the start. It may have just been that face plane tilt was causing the club to twist as you're playing your shots. Guys, I hope that helps. As always, any questions that you want to send me, some of you have been sending me some videos and some questions about what you're doing, that's brilliant. One thing I have at the moment is tying my hands down to those, so please keep sending them in. As always, stay safe. Hope you can get through this without losing any sanity, and we're 1 week closer to getting back to Durham. Thanks guys, see you next week.